Let's take some thrifted items and transform them into Christmas in July crafts. Hello everybody and welcome in to Emily's Upcycled Home. This Santa has been through many Christmases with me, but it's time to give it another upcycle and go ahead and put it in my boutique to sell. I'm just going to come in with some white Dixie Belle paint in the color Gardenia here. And we're going to give it a pouncy motion here, trying to get into all those little nooks and crevices of the piece. I'm going to go ahead and layer this up the best I can. And then once we dry this piece, we'll come in with a second coat. Look how different it's looking already with a whole new transformation coming into view already. So let me know what you guys think. Did you like the original version or do you like the white version so far? I'm going to go ahead and give this a spray with Rust-Oleum Clear Matte Sealer just to seal in that first layer, because we are going to come in and layering up some other colors and waxes here. I'm coming in with Dixie Belle Black Wax, and we are going to go ahead and get into all the little crevices here, adding some distressing elements and some age to the piece. Like always, this is all personal preference. If you guys like this white, you can leave him white as is. You can even distress him back, leaving in those colors that were originally on the piece. But you see how this is adding some variation already to our little Santa here. I'm going to go ahead and now come in with some Grunge Glaze by Dixie Belle, and we are going to layer that on top of that wax, blending this even further. And I know this looks gray out of the container, but when it goes on and dries, it's this very toned down brownish gray color. Now it's going to give you a weathered look, and we're just going to add more variation and tone and grubbiness with this glaze. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of heat on this to help the drying process here. And then we're going to go ahead and come and layer in some more of our dark wax, layering up even more in those crevices as we go along. Are you guys seeing how the layering effect is adding so much detail and texture to our piece? All this layering is going to give our Santa a higher end look. And then lastly, you guys, I'm coming in with this bronze gilding wax, also by Dixie Belle, and we are going to add some highlights and some tone here with a little tiny bit of this bronze gilding wax, deepening up the beard, his little hat, coming in on the boots and the little edges of the fire hydrant there. And then we're going to come in heavier on his hose and other places where we're going to deepen up that bronze shade. We're going to come a little bit deeper on his beard as well, just blending everything with my finger. And then look how cute this Santa has transformed. It looks a bit more like a statue, more stone-like, but I just love the variations and the tones and all the work we did with the layering up the waxes and the glazes. But you guys let me know what you think of this piece down in those comments. To shop more Fusion, ILD, and Dixie Belle products, please use my affiliate link to Julie's Design and Signs down in that description. It's a one-stop shop with supplies, home decor, and floral as well, with a $9 flat rate shipping, you guys. Save and reuse my link and help my channel here on YouTube. Thank you all for your support. I've had this shutter in my stash for a while. It's just been kicking back here. I'm just still trying to go through my hoard, you guys. So this is another piece that I am going to clean up here, give it a light sanding, and we are going to paint up using that same technique we did on the Santa, coming in with that grunge glaze here and layering that up on all the shutters and the edges, really giving this a distressed, dingy kind of look here. And you'll see how we layer it up even further and give this a whole rustic vibe. I'm just going to close the shutters here and give it a little depth, even adding more of that glaze onto each shutter part. Now this was a little time consuming, but you guys, you're going to love the end result, I promise. Okay, we're going to go ahead and continue on now. We're going to come in with that black wax by Dixie Belle, and we're going to go ahead and layer that up as well, just going in heavier on the edges, blending it through the slats as well, and then just aging up the piece even further. Now I set that aside a little bit to dry, and then we're going to come in with this cute little Christmas wreath. It does have some white paint around it just to add it, and for our handle to hook up, we're coming in with this vintage bronze-like ornate handle. Now for the wreath here, we're just going to go simple, and we're going to add a bow to it, tying some coffee stained cheesecloth to the top, and that's where we're going to kind of hang our piece, or add a little bow here rather. To add a soft pop of color, I'm coming in with like this goldish velvet ribbon here. I'm going to loop it, and then we're going to tie the center with some twine, making sure those velvet colors are exposed to the front, and our ribbon is going to lay to the center of that other ribbon that we added on the top of our wreath. Before I glue everything, I want to add some bells, and we'll trim up those tails as well. I am looping in some twine into these bells. I got on a Hobby Lobby, actually in the wedding section, you guys. And then we're going to add the little strings that we attached our bells to, glue those into the center of our bow, trimming off any excess of our twine, and then we'll come in with our golden color ribbon or bow here and layer that on top. Now I want to add a star to the center, but all I have is a rusty star, and I wasn't really going with a rust theme here, so we're going to come back in with that bronze wax here, and we're going to change the color of our star, just simply adding that wax over that rust. And do you guys see how pigmented that wax is? It just covered so beautifully. We'll go ahead and add some glue, center that onto our ribbon, and then I decided to come in and add a little bit more depth to our bells as well, taking away some of that brighter gold tone and leaving in that bronze color. Our wreath is ready now to add to our shutter. Now for the shutter part, I'm not quite sure if I'm done with it, so you'll see further on in the video how I come in and I add the wreath, and then I decide let's add a little bit more depth to the shutter. So with a other piece of fabric, we are just going to tie that and loop that through our ribbon hook, and then I'm going to add this to our handle that we added to the top using some screws. And I decide to go ahead, just loop it around and then knot it. That way when somebody wants to exchange this for a different look, they can go ahead and do so. So here's the part where I come in and add a little bit more to our shutter. I decided to add a little bit of distressing here, or to smooth out some of that wax, but then I decide to come in with the antique wax by Bear and deepen the tone even further of our shutter. Now this is going to add a beautiful shade of a brown tone throughout our shutter. Now you're going to get that weather tone from that glaze that we use, the grunge glaze, and then you got the layer of the black wax, and now we're coming in with a lighter brown tone in this antique wax by Bear. I'm going to go ahead and add that on, and then after we're going to come in with the distress ink pads and line up all the edges of our shutter, adding a little bit more depth to it and a deeper tone. And then I will come down through the slats as well, just layering up more of that ink pad. And after we layer up everything, I'm going to come in and just blend everything together with a rag. And you're going to keep going with this piece until you like the look of it. But at any moment throughout the process of your own designs, you can stop and change your mind and add more elements. But I just think this added more of the look I was going for and gave it a tone and some layering that I just love. But you guys let me know what you think of this one down in the comments. If you are enjoying my content, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell before you leave. And don't forget to hit that like button as well. I found these 3 glass jars in my stash, and I'm going to go ahead and paint them with this Dixie Belle color. And this is white in the color Gardenia. It's a beautiful shade of like an off-white little bit. I'm going to go ahead and layer up all 3 of the jars I found with 2 coats of this paint. Now, if you have trouble with your paint sticking to your glass, you can add a little bit of baking soda to your paint to help thicken it up, and that'll help adhere to that slick surface. Now, I went ahead and added a little bit of top coat here with Rust-Oleum clear sealer because I want to come in with these transfers once again from last year's IOD set. Now I'm going to go ahead and pick out 3 little images, and I chose that Santa and then the 2 little deers for the other 2 jars. And all you do is just cut out the images you want, layer them onto your piece. Because I have a sealant and because this is a smoother surface, I had no trouble adhering these transfers onto our piece. I just going ahead, rub on that transfer, lift and rub as I go, adhering that image down to our jar. And once I have that off, I'll go ahead and smooth everything out with my finger with a light touch. And then we'll go ahead and continue that process, putting on both deers on the other 2 jars. Once I have those images onto the jars, I will go ahead and come back in and distress my jars just a little bit, just giving it a little bit of an aged look. Not too much, just mostly on the ends and at the top of the jar where more of the distressing or the age would happen on my jar. To seal up my images, I'm going to come back in with that Rust-Oleum spray sealer and seal over each of those inlays. Now once we have this all sealed and it's thoroughly dry, I'm just going to play around here, and I think I'm going to add some greenery to the center. And then on the other 2 jars, I'm going to come in with these coffee stained muslin fabric pieces and some twine and just wrap them up, giving them a little bit of a primitive style. So I'm going to come in with some twine as well and add a little bow, and that's going to hold our fabric. I went ahead and wrapped it around like 3 times on that top, and then I'll repeat that process for the second one, layering up that fabric and then coming back in with that twine. Now for the middle one, I came in with that muslin fabric strip and wrapped that around the top lip of our jar, and then I also came in with that twine and just giving it a little bit more of that same fabric look as the other 2, since this one's going to have our greenery in it. And I wanted my muslin fabric a little bit darker, so I come in with my coffee mixture here, my coffee stain, and I go ahead and layer that up, and that's just coffee and some spices, cinnamon, pumpkin spice, and vanilla all mixed together. I'm just going to layer that up on stain the top of our fabric, and it's going to give it a lovely coffee smell as well. I'm going to layer up that fabric strip that we did on the middle one, and then I'm going to use my heat tool here to help dry these up. I went ahead and put our greenery back in the jar with some tallow berries, and then we're just going to stamp some little tags here for our jars, and we're just going to put 25 on our little paper tags to stress them up with distress inks, and then we're just going to simply glue those and attach those to the 2 side jars just to give it a little bit more variation here. And then here is all our 3 jars all together. I just think they're so adorable, little mixture of primitive with not so primitive, and those little deers are adorable. Now you can add these to a vignette, layer them up in a crate. You can display them in so many different ways, but I just think these came out so cute. Let me know what you guys think of these down in those comments. You can come shop all my goodies over on my Facebook group page at Emily's Upcycled Boutique. For our last project, we are going to use some coaster rounds here and make some little cute Christmas ornaments with some bunny transfers from this Catchy Idol D packet from last year's books. So we're just going to simply cut out the images we want, and I'm going to just hunt for all the little bunny pictures that I find on this piece. 2 are a little bit larger and the 2 last ones are a little bit smaller, but I think we're going to go ahead and make it work. I think it'll just have a little bit more wood space around everything. Now before I go ahead and add anything to this, I'm going to go ahead and add my transfers on, because mostly what I want to use is wax, and if you put the wax on first, the transfers will not adhere to that piece. So once again, just rubbing on these transfers, being very careful and just rubbing them in with my finger, continuing that process for our other little small ones as well. And you see the size variation here, but what do you guys think? I think it'll be okay, but in the end, let me know what you think. So I'm going to just repeat that process of rubbing on those transfers, and then we're going to go ahead and add some little holes on the top, because I want to be able to hang these up. And I'm just going to come in with my drill and add a small hole where we're going to come in and add some wire too. Bringing back our grunge glaze, we're going to go ahead and layer up over on top of our transfers as well. This is going to help seal in that transfer to our surface too. So I'm just going to go ahead and layer up that glaze onto our piece, making sure I get those edges, and repeat the steps for all of them. Have them sit for a little bit and then wipe off the excess. I think there is some kind of film or something on top of the coasters that's not allowing it to adhere the way it needs to, but I'm going to go with this. I repeat the process for the backs as well to give them a finished look. And then we'll come in and layer in some more variations of colors using our waxes, just like we used on our shutter. With our Dixie Belle black wax, I am going to go over that glaze and add some more variation, like I said, hoping some of that darker wax gets into the grooves and crevices of our wood grain, giving it more of a distressed or aged kind of vibe here with all those layers. This is what we have so far. And then with my white gardenia paint by Dixie Belle, I'm going to come in and just add in some highlights around the edges of our piece. I didn't really like how this first one came out, but we're going to go with it. I'm just going to add some to the edges, almost like if it looks like snow or whatever it is you want to call it. Once again, this is personal preference. If you don't like this variation, you can go ahead and leave it out. To smooth everything out even further, we're going to come back in with our sandpaper and smooth out all those white, giving it a distressing look and more of an aged look, so that everything kind of flows in together. And once after we get all this smoothed out in the way I want it to look, I will come back in with that black wax and age these up on top of that white. It just gives us a little bit more variation here in that distressed look. Now, once I have that all situated the way I want, I come back in with my distressed inks and coal black here, and I go ahead and go around the edges, giving our rounds a little bit more pronounced vibe and a little bit of depth around the edges here. It just helps the circle and the shape of our piece stand out a little more. Come back in and blend everything up together, and then I will go ahead and add in our little hooks with some floral wire. I'll loop the little floral wire and twist it at the base, and then we'll go ahead and add a dab of hot glue in each of the little holes, and then we'll go and we'll attach those that way. And that's just going to be a place where I am going to hang the ribbon or the string. I tried a few different pieces and then decided to go with just simple twine piece that I tie to the top. Now, if you have those little eye screws, you can just simply screw that onto the top too, and that'll work as well. But once I get all these pieces glued in, we'll go ahead and embellish our rounds. To embellish our pieces, I'm coming in with a little bit of greenery at the top, trailing off on each side of our piece. I'm going to come in with this leftover fabric here that I have, making a simple shoestring bow, and we are going to attach that into the center and finish things off with a cute little button. And now, because the other ones had so much room, I went ahead and stamped the numbers 25 along the edges, just giving it a fuller look. And then here is these age little Christmas ornaments that we created. Let me know what you guys think of these down in the comments. Don't forget to come shop my items in my boutique on Facebook. New inventory this Friday. And come join us for live events over on Crafting with the Hot Mess Express on Facebook. Hit that subscribe button, notification bell before you leave out. And I thank you guys all for watching.